Yesterday, Sony released details for their heavily rumored Spartacus service that was set to launch to compete with Microsoft's extremely popular Game Pass. And damn, is this an overpriced piece of shit. Let's start by just running down the new tiers for PlayStation Plus. This is all kind of being bundled into the PlayStation Plus program. Talk about what's included with each tier and, of course, how much they cost. First, you have the standard PlayStation Plus Essential tier, which is basically what you get now with PlayStation Plus. They even say the benefits this tier gets are the same benefits that PlayStation Plus members are getting today, such as 2 monthly downloadable games, exclusive discounts, cloud storage for save games, and online multiplayer access. Of course, we cannot let you play those online games anymore unless you're paying up. It's everybody now, and it's just every time I have to get reminded of that, it's so sad. There are no changes for existing PlayStation Plus members in this tier. The price for PlayStation Plus Essential remains the same as the current price of PlayStation Plus. Those costs are $9.99 monthly, $24.99 quarterly, or $59.99 yearly, depending on how you want to shell out your money for this. So yeah, if you're already subscribed to PlayStation Plus, no real changes. You're basically just going to roll your current deal over into this. So not really much to talk about there. Then we have the PlayStation Plus Extra tier, which bolsters all the benefits from the Essential tier, adds a catalog of up to 400 of the most enjoyable PS4 and PS5 games, including blockbuster hits from our PlayStation Studios catalog and third-party partners. Games in the Extra tier are downloadable for play, and that will set you back $14.99 monthly, $39.99 quarterly, or $99.99 yearly. So a catalog of bonus PS5 and PS4 games. I would note with something like this, because I can see people being like, oh, 400 games, that's a lot. Like, how much of that is going to be shovelware, small indie games? Because again, just going back to the previous, your standard PlayStation Plus tier, if you're subscribed to either PlayStation Plus or Xbox Gold, you get those free games every month, and like one of them's an Xbox One and Xbox Series X game, or one's a PS4 and a PS5 game. It's rare that they're like banger titles included with those games, and I think that you're kind of going to see a lot of that with this PS4, PS5 subscription. I don't think they're set to roll out like 400 of the best games available on each system. It's just not going to work that way. And then finally, for the high rollers among you, we have what I think most people were interested in terms of this potential service, the PlayStation Plus Premium tier. Yeah, very fancy. In that tier, they provide, of course, all the benefits from the Essential and Extra tier, and it adds up to 340 additional games, including PS3 games available via cloud streaming, a catalog of beloved classic games available in both streaming and download options from the original PlayStation, PS2, and PSP generations, offers cloud streaming access for original PlayStation, PS2, PSP, and PS4 games that are offered in the Extra and Premium tiers in markets where PlayStation Now is currently available. Customers can stream games using PS4 and PS5 consoles and PC. Time-limited game trials will also be offered in this tier, so customers can try select games before they buy. And the prices for that are $17.99 monthly, $49.99 quarterly, or $119.99 yearly. My God, boys, I'm gonna break down for just a second here. I'm getting to be an old man. I just turned 34, literally just turned 34. March 30th is my birthday, so if you're watching this video today, this is my birthday. This is how I'm spending it, ranting about stupid video game subscription services. I've been doing YouTube for quite a while now, screaming about this kind of stuff, and we keep complaining about it, but things just get worse and worse. I just, I'm tired. I'm definitely getting tired, guys. But okay, let's dig into this. Why is this service just complete garbage? We're going to focus on those last two tiers because, my fellow Sony bros, let's be honest, they're already screwing most of us on that basic tier anyway. So like I said with the second one, the extra tier, I'd be highly cautious about what they mean by PS4 and PS5 games, because yeah, I know, again, a lot of you probably just see that and think like, oh, there's so many AAA $60 games, but history shows us the stuff you actually want to play will probably be few and far between. They are going to put whatever they can in there to hit that big number, and I also I don't see this as very exciting, like at all, because obviously the PS5 already plays PS5 and PS4 games, so especially if you've been a Sony pony for the last few years, you probably already own a lot of stuff that you want to play from these eras. It's not like they're doing the Xbox deal. Keep this in mind, because Xbox, and I think maybe some might have been expecting this, when you're subscribed to Game Pass, you're getting all the new releases day and day. Like the day a new big Xbox Studios game comes out, it's on Game Pass. That's not what's happening here, okay? Keep that in mind. And remember, as we talk about all of this, that's really the big selling point of Game Pass, having your Halo Infinite on there day one, ready to play with the subscription. And yeah, once more, that's not what's happening here. You're just getting this curated list. I'm sure they'll have to be several months, maybe 6 months old or so before you can even consider the possibility that they'll make it over. So yeah, I myself, I already own most of the PS4 games that I'd want to play. I can pick up others very cheaply when they're on sale, used or whatever. This it isn't attractive to me. I think, again, the more into PlayStation you are, the more games I think you'll already own from these categories, at least in terms of the ones you want. So the less interesting I think this middle tier is, really. I see this being more so for people that are new to the PlayStation ecosystem. If you don't have any of those big PS4 games, there will probably be enough on there to make this worth it to you. But again, a lot of that stuff is so cheap now. At least myself, I'd rather just buy it and own it instead of having it restricted to this subscription. Now, the big boy premium tier, I think, is much more interesting to everyone. I think the old retro classic games are what people wanted to get out of this. And, having those classic games here, right off the bat, I'll say, in terms of, again, my previous claims, how I said I worry about how good those PS4 and PS5 games are going to be. Those games, PS4 and PS5, are in the cheaper tier. It's the PS1, PS2, and PSP stuff that you're paying the higher premium for. So it's right there to me. I think that's a big red flag in terms of how good the selection of that PS4 and PS5 collection is going to be. Because yeah, if it's going to be just packed with killers, all the best stuff from these eras, then why isn't that the higher tier? And the PS1 and PS2 games are on the lower tier. Wouldn't that make more sense? I mean, I think that just makes sense that the older games would be cheaper to get than the newer, more expensive games. I don't know, just weird. And then it also kind of pisses me off because it's you're really going to make me subscribe to this $120 tier if I want to play Tekken, the original Grand Theft Auto? I mean, that sounds so silly. $120 a year to play the original Final Fantasy VII? It just sounds so ridiculous. But my biggest problem with the retro games offering here, as with most people I've seen, is of course the PS3. These games still being restricted to only cloud. To be clear, because I still get people who ask me oh, well, what's the difference between cloud gaming and digital? Isn't it just the same? Isn't a cloud game just a digital game? No. Okay, that's why they specify oh, you can download these games or these games are cloud. Digital games, they download to your console and you play them off the hardware. Cloud games, people, are streamed from servers far away from you to your device, and you see that image being played on screen, so it's not reliant at all on your hardware. It all has to do with your internet connection. And thus, if there's a dip in your connection, there's lag in the game. If you have a data cap, every second that you're playing these games, you're eating away at that son of a bitch. Having PS3 games still restricted to this method is such a joke. And remember, because, Sony ponies, I can already hear your little sausage fingers clicking the keyboard. Oh, well, you don't know that the PS3 is really complicated to emulate. And? Is that my fault? Or is that Sony's fault? Which, was it me who designed the PS3, or was that Sony who designed and signed off on that PS3 architecture? They chose to make it like that. Okay, I don't care how stupid it was. And at this point, let's be real. The PS5 is so powerful. It could mostly brute force a lot of this stuff. Obviously, yes, you still have to have the R&D to make the emulator for it and that, but the PS5 is certainly strong enough to handle it with minimal effort. Like, the more power your hardware has, the more it can just, like, ram that stuff through without it being totally optimized. Yeah, it would cost money, but I also think they could make a lot of money off of it, because if you were able to download the PS3 games, I think that would be a massive selling point to this service. And in its current form, cloud, it's the opposite. It's actually a big negative. If you follow my channel, you guys know I can't stand cloud garbage. It's something that's just not ready yet. But at least when it comes to like pretty demanding games and playing them on weaker hardware, again, the stuff like Microsoft sells us on with the xCloud, you know, being able to play the newest Forza on your iPhone, I at least get the logic behind that, like why people want it, why you'd have to do streaming to make that possible. But this bullshit, whether it be Sony here with the PS3 games on PS5, the goddamn Kingdom Hearts games on Nintendo Switch, when you're talking about ancient games needing to be streamed on modern hardware, I can't stand it. To put it kindly, it's not something I'm interested in. I think this is completely stupid, and like, at this point, are we just admitting PS3 games are trapped on the PS3? I mean, is that what Sony's trying to tell us? Like, hey man, if you want to play those games on the hardware, you're gonna need a PS3. That's just the way it is. Just, how dumb. Also, probably the most shady thing about this whole deal, possibly the thing that pisses me off, maybe even more than that, the trials. Okay, I say all the time, I love game demos. I think it's awesome when these companies let you try something before you buy it. You know, something I always try to promote, I want to see everyone do more of. But you're going to be locking these game trials behind this $120 subscription tier? This is, again, I'm surprised there isn't more emphasis being put on this by other people covering this. This is absolutely disgusting in my opinion. I could go on the mid-tier, $100 per year, and that's not enough money for you to let me try a game. It's ridiculous. And I mean, I don't want to get too worked up here. I like the idea of the older consoles being there. I was glad to see PSP did in fact make the cut. I could see there being a 6 selection here when it comes to PS1, PS2, and PSP. I mean, I can think of hundreds of games I'd want to play across all these systems. But again, realistically, how many of those are actually going to be there? And with that price, especially with the PS3 games being restricted to cloud streaming only, it's just way too steep, guys. As I already alluded to, this does not stack up well to Xbox Game Pass at all. I mean, just the new games dropping day one completely makes Game Pass blow this away. Because, I mean, again, that's where the real value in Game Pass is. I've said multiple times that I'm a big fan of Game Pass, but if I wasn't getting those major titles day one, I probably wouldn't even have the subscription. Having the old school 360 OG Xbox stuff feels more like a bonus rather than the main selling point, as it should be. And especially when you factor in those recent massive purchases of Bethesda and Activision. I mean, knowing that all those games now are going to also be on Game Pass day one, like even if Sony was putting their big first-party stuff on the PS Plus Premium or whatever day one, I still think within a year, the Xbox would have a major edge. Like as soon as we start getting those new Bethesda, new Activision games on there, it would still be blowing Sony's out of the water. In terms of comparing this to Nintendo and the expansion pack, I think they're both just really bad. Like, the expansion pack is obviously way cheaper than even the mid-tier here, but you still get way less stuff. So it kind of feels like what Sony is offering is just scaling this up. Like, if Nintendo offered double the content in an expansion pack and also doubled the price, I'd pretty much feel similar about it. Because I do think, because you might be like, oh, but you know, PS4 and 5 games versus like Super Nintendo, I guarantee you, boys, a lot of those Super Nintendo and N64 games are going to be better than a lot of the PS4 and PS5 games you're going to get on that subscription. So yeah, I'm just not even really interested in comparing these two because it's like two idiots fighting over who gets last place. Does it even really matter? They're both so far leagues behind Microsoft. I mean, Microsoft too, with the backwards compatibility, don't forget, you don't even have to have a subscription to begin with. You can just take the old games, your original Xbox and Xbox 360 games, put them in the disk drive, the current systems recognize, and just start playing them. Like, how could I even compare what these other two are offering to Microsoft with that factored in? It's like they're just not even in the same universe. I mean, it just sucks, like, because for one, I'm not the biggest subscription fan. Like, if the value is there, like with Game Pass, I'm down with it, but, you know, at the end of the day, I prefer to own the games, everything like that, and it's like, I see us moving more towards the subscription model, and those subscription models are getting worse. So that's a big fear I have. The whole layout, everything with this Sony thing is a disaster. I think, you know what, the more I think about it, I do think I would prefer Nintendo's expansion pack over this, because just the fact that it's like to play a PS1 game, $120 per year, just shut the fuck. I just can't. Okay, I'm done. I'm cutting myself off here because I'll just start ranting more. To wrap it up, obviously, I think what Sony is offering is just another overpriced, trashy ripoff of a service. I have no interest in subbing to it, just like Nintendo's expansion pack. But let me know your thoughts on these new PlayStation Plus subscription tiers in the comments. Are you planning to sub to any of these tiers? If so, which ones? If you are planning on subbing, what games do you hope to see on these different tiers? And are you disappointed in various elements like the PS3 games still being restricted to cloud streaming? As always, I'm the Shy Guy, Johnny Zakari, and thanks for watching.